So, should our recording start?
Yeah, probably so. Because if not, we're going to be really late.
Yeah. And next week we're doing double recording, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I was making sure you're tracking that. Have you? I was going to say tracking that, and so, but it made me think of a term that I've heard recently from the television industry, and that is the term clocking. So, like, if you were to notice that, let's say you're in a situation and you notice somebody did a thing that they were trying to be conspicuous. Wait, fuck. Conspicuous means that you are showing. Inconspicuous means that you're not. You're trying to be sly, right?
Right.
All right. So if somebody's doing something and they're trying to be inconspicuous, I don't know why I had a hard time. I don't know why I brain farted on that one, but if you were trying to be inconspicuous about something and somebody saw you, have you heard the phrase, they clocked him doing that thing?
I have.
Clocked.
I did not realize it was a television industry term, because where I've heard it, it was always in relation to like taking clocking the speed type activity.
Oh.
From a law enforcement perspective. I've heard that parallel where they clocked him doing something.
So so I'm not saying that it is a television industry term, but there's a podcast I've been listening to, where multiple people, like, it's a podcast with two regular hosts, and they have a guest. They have a guest on the show every week. Almost every week there's a new guest, and there's been a few repeat guests, but so many people have used the term clock, and so I just was like, I had not heard it before. It was new to me, but that makes a lot of sense, the where you heard it from and where it might have come from.
There's no telling, honestly. There's so many terms that are difficult to kind of wrap your head around with regard to like broadcast and television. Like, if you're not in the industry and never were in the industry, there's no telling what all has actually come from that is, I'm not going to say lost, because you could backtrack it and figure it out, but like where modern day,
we don't follow up on the etymology of the word,
right? Similar to the whole, I know you've seen the meme statement about somebody printing or 3D printing the save icon, being just a floppy disk,
Yeah. Oh, you've printed the 3D. Did a 3D print of the save icon. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I enjoy that one quite a bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a thing. I don't know why I brought that up, but I also, that could be that somebody, like this group of people that were on this television show, seemed to have a very good relationship with each other, and an ongoing relationship after the show was canceled. And it also wouldn't surprise me that somebody brought that term into that group of people, that group of friends and coworkers, and they all just picked it up and have been using it. Every time they use it, it's appropriate and it makes sense. It's a good way to, it's a good word for what it means. And so it also wouldn't surprise me if it's not a television industry term, and you could listen to podcasts from other shows. And like, I listened to the Scrubs rewatch. I listened to like a lot of the Scrubs rewatch podcast, and nobody from there ever said it. So
I could also, like, just thinking about if it came from, we'll just say, the film industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I could see it being related to a reference where, like, time code notice of this event thing, so it got clocked from that perspective. Like, that would make sense to me as a potential explanation.
Sure. And it's one of those things where, like, you could have heard it from the law enforcement sector, and the television and motion pictures industry also use it for different reasons. Like, it's like two different industries can use the same word but having a different etymology to mean the same thing.
Right.
So it's like we've got pyramids in Egypt, Cambodia, and Central and South America. Unlikely that it was alien technology. It's just that when people of the same level of intelligence have the same problem, they often come up with the same solution, independently of one another.
I remember recently seeing an article. I don't remember what the full gist of it was. I didn't read it, but it was talking about how there was a theory about how the pyramids were, or a new theory about how the pyramids were formed using like tools and all of the era that had a better explanation than previously thought theories. Again, I didn't read the article. I didn't care that much, but I thought it was interesting that that's still an ongoing debate.
Yeah. If only we had time machines.
Yeah.
There was a thing that I wanted to ask you before we went to the next thing, but I can't remember what it is. And if I do, I'll try to interject it and maybe, I don't know, try to remember it in time. But I wanted to know about your so much gear.
Yeah, I've been on a bit of a shopping spree, and I already had a lot of gear. At the moment, I have, if I were to take everything I need or potentially need to do on-site video production, and to grab my stuff and go, I am currently hauling 4 different bags of gear. Funnily enough, 3 of them are Peak Design bags.
I was just going to say, are they all Peak Design?
The only reason the 4th one is not is because it's the light kit, and it came with its own protected bag that has some padding in the right places. That it's like, yeah, no, that makes sense to keep it. But I have so much gear at this point, and I need to take stock of everything I've got and create 2 separate sets. One set of and all I need is one camera, maybe a backup roll, and what I need with it for like a grab and go small project thing, and then have everything else for if I need the full on, like everything available. So right now it's not efficiently packed is what it comes down to. But going through after I ordered a second Peak Design tripod, so I have 2 of them now. I've got.
Did you get that other tripod that you sent a link to me?
I did. Okay. So I have that one also because I've got a number of different devices that are either tripod mountable or I need the flexibility to mount them on a tripod. So I've got 3 cameras and the Zoom audio recorder that are all tripod mountable. And I have a combined total of 3 tripods now. Plus a dedicated tripod for a phone if I wanted to do it.
Oh, wow.
In addition. I don't really count that one because that's not in my full pack. That's more of a, hey, I might need this. I'm going to grab it and add it to the collection. But it's just looking at how much stuff I have. And I've added a couple of battery banks because of the nuances of the R5C and power consumption while shooting video and wanting to be able to do better than 30 to 40 minutes of shoot time on the internal battery. In the event that I needed it, I've just added a lot. That's what it comes down to. And I was taking stock of what all I had and trying to kind of figure out sorting, and I've got so much stuff to go through. That's what the little tagline came from. It's just because of how much I have to try to sift through now. And on top of it, I've added a couple of wireless lavalier mics. I already had a set. I added an additional set because of some flexibility that it gave me with the lavalier mic itself. So it's transmitter plus lavalier mic plus receiver instead of just the all-in-one mic and transceiver. So it gave, if I need to hide a mic, basically, I have that option. If the mic doesn't need to be hidden, I have a different option. It's just so many little nuances that I am trying to cover, use case scenarios. And technically, I'm trying to cover them a bit prematurely. I don't necessarily have all of these use case scenarios, except that I have a lot of stuff I want to play with for me personally, too. where those use case scenarios come into play. So, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
And I know I can simplify it with some time and probably get back to just a 2-camera carry setup, a primary and a backup. Probably just do a mic and the lavaliers and call it a day. But I'm not ready to slim down that much yet, because at this point, everything that I've been doing, I've needed additional lighting, or I've needed to set up a standalone mic off to the side, or just all these kind of odd use cases that I don't always have. I've been encountering with some of the stuff that I've had to do recently, or that I've been doing. Not all of it has been client focused, and so it's trying to account for all the different needs I might have at the same time as not overextending. And in addition to all of that, I also just found something to play with that I had not played with in the past, that I didn't think about from a video perspective.
What's that?
So ND filters for photography they're common, but you can do a lot and not use them. Neutral density filters, so blocking out a certain amount of light. And in cinematography, though, they're very useful and very effective at being able to achieve a certain level of motion blur, because you can crank open the aperture on the camera and use the filter to correct for exposure, instead of having to correct for exposure in camera with the aperture and ISO and all. And it's just a thing that I hadn't thought about. That was not a thing for me back in my early days of playing with video.
Gotcha.
And so I decided if I was going to play with it, I was going to research and actually order some good high quality ND filters, because I don't want to get a cheap one, play with it, and decide, all right, I need to actually spend money on it. It's like, no, this seems like the kind of thing, if it actually makes that big of a difference, let me go ahead and research and find really good quality filters. So that was a bit of a splurge, but those should be here hopefully this week, and I can play with that with some test footage to kind of see what types of results I get and be prepared to use them.
Very cool. That's a lot of gear. So as you were saying this, I was like, I'm just picturing, like, in my head, they're all black bags because that's what I would have picked. But I'm just picturing how you've got like a row of 4 bags in the back of your Jeep.
So I have the charcoal everyday messenger, the charcoal everyday backpack, the Sage travel backpack, and then the lighting pack.
Nice.
All packed full.
The everyday backpack and the travel backpack, are they 30 and 45?
Yes.
I like the travel one. I've thought about that one.
Yeah. I almost ordered a second travel one instead of a second everyday pack, but the reason I ended up with the everyday pack is because I liked the quick access to the sides for the way I would pack it out for carrying. So basically what I have right now, the messenger is my primary carry. It's got 2 camera bodies, a couple of lenses, batteries, SD cards. It's the primary. I have to have this bag. I can get by with just this bag for some things. And then the everyday backpack has the 3rd camera body, its associated lenses, and all of the, I'll call it, tools and other things related to the cameras directly. So in my case, like the flash accessories, light panel, or like for on-camera light panel, gimbal for stabilization, anything else that I would use specifically with the camera bodies. That's all in those 2 bags. The travel backpack has pretty much all of the audio gear and the drone gear, and then the lighting backpack. So I kind of have it logically grouped for what I need. The problem is I don't have it logically grouped for when I only need a part of it. It's either all or nothing in order to have lighting and audio and camera covered. And so I need to come up with a slight tweaking where the everyday messenger has a camera body with its lenses and audio gear for a single camera production. And then if I need more than a single camera, I grab the rest of the bags.
Gotcha.
So I'll eventually tweak that. At the moment, I'm not too concerned about carrying 4 bags.
No.
I think that was everything on that one. I saw you added
I did
a topic. You want to jump into that real quick?
Just like an update because it's been uh, interesting in that I had asked this question of people who know and just what would happen if you stop? Like I was taking Zepbound. What would happen if you stopped? And so I've had to. That stop has happened. It's been 2.5 weeks, I think, or 3.5 weeks since I had my last dose. So, and so it is. Yeah, if you take the drug, it suppresses your appetite and slows down your digestion. If you stop taking the drug, your appetite comes back and digestion speeds back up. However, what has been good has been that I'm able to recognize more about what is actual hunger versus what is either desire to eat, or what is appetite versus what is seeking comfort or a response to boredom, whatever it may be, like reasons to eat that don't have to do with hunger, like actually being hungry and needing to refuel. And so that's been a lot easier to recognize. I thankfully haven't like gained weight back. I just sort of had, I might have like put back on a couple pounds, but it's hard to tell with normal fluctuation. I've been weighing myself daily, but it really hasn't come back. So that's good, but I haven't been losing the way that I have. And I could tell that like I get hungrier, but, I can also see it's like, oh, like I used to think like this is how much I would need to eat or for satiation, but now I can be like, oh no, I know I don't need to eat that much, and that's helpful.
And just because I don't think you actually said it in the lead up, this is because it's been back ordered for a while.
Yes, yeah. It's been back. Let's see. I was supposed to get my next prescription, and I called it in a week before, and they're like, it's back ordered, and it's been back ordered. I think that was 3 weeks ago, because I remember they thought, or the manufacturer said, they expected it to be back in stock, but the pharmacist was like, I don't think so. So I think it's been almost it's been at least 3 weeks since I took my last dose. So, and it's not that they can't make the drug; it's that the pen that they use for the injection, basically automated injection, is where that's where they're having trouble with keeping up with manufacturing. Is creating that pin. So if they were just producing the drug and putting them in vials and allowing patients to inject themselves the traditional way, they wouldn't be back ordered. So that's a bit frustrating. It's a bit frustrating.
It's also interesting that it is enough of a cost-conscious measure, whether it's saving or more expensive or what, but it's obviously a decision made about cost.
Mm-hmm. And right now, I imagine that they'll have this sorted out as quickly as they can, because there's just way too much money to be made. But it's all of the manufacturers. It's not just this one particular manufacturer that produces Zepbound. It's all of them.
Well, hopefully it gets squared away soon enough.
Yeah.
I know I didn't put it in the notes, but I think instead of going into the potential topic, I had a couple of other follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Have you tried using the additional mesh points yet?
No, I haven't.
I wasn't sure. I just figured I would ask. And then, do you have plans for the cabinet at this point, or was it like in preparation for potential plans?
It's in preparation for potential plans, because I can't see myself needing a cabinet that big, but or any bigger than that. But I wanted to create a slightly more robust network in my house, and I think the big thing that I wanted to do was add cameras, so exterior cameras.
If you decide you want to go ridiculous overkill, I know a guy.
I know. I do too. He's the guy in your mirror.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I actually was thinking about exterior cameras today because I've ordered the 2 that I'm going to put up.
And the bullet cameras?
They're...
Or turret cameras?
Yeah, turret cameras. And the arms for them were back ordered at the time that I ordered the 2 cameras. So I finally got the 2 arms. Yes, maybe it might have been the end of last week. Either way, they were finally available again. So I ordered them when they were back in stock, and they came in. So I finally have everything I need to do them. Now I have to figure out exactly where I plan to put them, which I don't know why I didn't have that planned out already. Probably because I knew I wasn't going to immediately put them up anyway. But all of that is just a long-winded way of saying I now have all of the equipment I need for that next project, for the most part, minus the ladder.
I can get that to you this weekend.
I'm not going to need it that quick. Like I still need to think through how I'm going to mount it, how I'm going to get wiring. Like I have to pull a couple of wires. Like there's enough preliminary stuff to do. I don't need it that quick. I mean, it's up to you if you want to come visit anyway. Of course, open. But all of that just to say that I also was thinking about it because earlier today there was a questionable sound that triggered interest in ongoing activities in the neighborhood, and then another neighbor saw something else on their doorbell camera that had a question about it. We don't think there's anything specific. We don't have any details, but it sounds like there might have been some vandalism or something. That's it. But all of that made me think about, I need to actually take seriously thinking through placement for the 2 exterior cameras and not just throw them up kind of randomly like I was originally going to do, because I know that if I want to cover the predominantly potentially needed angles, I'm going to need one kind of on the front of the house toward the where the 2 streets converge, where it looks sort of like it might have been a cul-de-sac at one point, and then one kind of on the driveway down out toward the street. But I've got to get up there with either a simulation of the camera angle or like plug the camera up and see exactly how wide it is and kind of plan that out as a result.
I feel like plugging it in and checking is the best.
Yeah, the only drawback with that is that then I've got to get all of the pre-wiring and all done so that I can plug it in that spot. Whereas if I can kind of guess, have a visualization of the field of view, I can at least kind of plan on where it needs to go and then not run cables to the wrong spot kind of thing.
Can't you just run cables throughout your house?
I could, but man, in these older houses.
I mean just like through the hallways and, in the room.
Yeah.
Just so that you can like plug it in and look at it and see. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I could certainly do something like that, but see, I need it to go because of where it would go. I guess I could run just a cable on the ground out the garage door and up, just to see.
Yeah. Like a quick and dirty, this is going to be here for the length of time that I have it plugged in, or that I need to check it, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I could do something like that for that one. The one on the front side, though, I mean, I could do something similar, but I don't know, it's not as much fun as like mapping it out and then going back and pulling the cable to the correct spot.
Well, I mean, you're going to put it somewhere, so the cable's going to be run somewhere.
True. And what I could do is I could go ahead and do like the running of the cable up in the attic as the distribution point, and then make it long enough that I can play with some things. The main thing with doing it that way is I wouldn't want to then take it out through anything other than an existing hole. So I'd have to see if I can squeeze the cable through. What do you call those vents that are in soffit vents? Is that the correct term? I don't know. I don't think so. But there are places where you've got grating over vents for ventilation. If it's big enough and I can squeeze the network cable through, I could potentially do it without new additional holes. And so if so, that might be the way to go. I just need to get up in the attic and take a look.
Yeah. My method would be to just run it through. I was gonna say I'd say run it through the house, but I'd have to, like, if I was gonna do like for a camera on the front of my house, I'd actually have to run it out the front door, because nope, I take that back. My bedroom window, it's at the front of the house, and those open. I was gonna say the laundry room is upstairs, and it's at the front of the house, and that window doesn't open. It's I don't know what's the term for windows that don't open.
I'm not sure that there's a dedicated term for it.
There's got to be a term for it. I don't know. If there is, I don't know what it is, but I feel like there is. There's a term. Anyway, yeah. No, my plan is at some point in time to put some cameras, run some. Probably I know I could get away with Cat 5e, but probably run specific Cat 6 cables to where this is going to go. It's also going to allow me to clean up the modem and server situation I have going on in the closet underneath the stairs. So that's my plan.
I have 2 boxes of Cat 6, one plenum, one non-plenum. So after I run my other lines, if you just need cable, I probably have plenty.
Gotcha. I appreciate that.
I think that's everything I have for non-specific topic stuff. I just happened to think about that before we started recording and wanted to ask.
Yeah, I kind of want. So I wanted to get a. There's a device for rack mounting your Mac Minis, and I was thinking of doing that, and just a patch panel, probably a 16 port. Just as I've been looking around, like a 16 port PoE switch. I can't think of a reason I would need more, unless I haven't looked at everything that I want. So, if I had no budget for this, then I would definitely need more, just for the amount of storage that I would buy for recording and other things. And I'd want to plug. I feel like the rack mount hard drive. I was looking at a rack station by Synology, and I think it's got like 4 Ethernet sockets in it. So, but that's overkill for what I have going on.
I mean, I have 4 on the disk station that I've got. It's just not. It sits on a shelf instead of being rack mountable.
Yeah, because you've got a disk station, correct?
Right. It's the 8-bay disk station.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at the 4-bay rack. It's stupid expensive. It turns out it only has 2 Ethernet sockets. So anyway, I was just messing about. And
yeah, I said I was done with other not topic specific things, but as we were talking about this, one more thing came to mind. So I know I had mentioned back when I redid my part of my network setup that I was running the Unify controller Dream Machine at the edge, and then had it feeding into a Firewalla as a pass-through device before it hits the rest of the network. Well, Firewalla has now announced an updated version of their device that supports up to 10 gigabit per second interface, network interfaces, whereas the one that I have only supports up to 2.5 gig per second. Only. But I have support for 10 gig per second to the other devices on my network, and so having it be a bottleneck in the middle, even though it doesn't really matter, has always bugged me a little bit. So when they announced it, I went ahead and pre-ordered, so that I have my full 10 gig throughput from A to Z, and not that I will ever be able to leverage it, but when that is finally available and ships, I'm going to redo how everything in my cabinet flows to make sure I get full advantage of throughput and full coverage of actually what I want instead of kind of semi ad hoc. But I'm also going to take the existing firewall and I'm going to segment off like any and all IoT traffic because it's already separated on a VLAN, but I'm going to physically separate it to
IoT.
And and have it go through Internet of Things. So like smart devices and all. So anything, I'm going to actually physically separate it in addition to the VLAN separation and have it go through the existing firewall that I've got for monitoring and being able to block traffic and all, and have all of my other traffic go through the new one. And so I'll have logically and physically separated networks when I'm done.
So here's where I am, and that is, I there was a time where it's like, I know all the words that you're saying are English, and how you've arranged them in the sentences you've said has left me not knowing what you're talking about. I remember when I was there. I totally understand everything you said. It's just that if you said, hey, can you implement that as well? Here's the equipment, implement it. I wouldn't know what I was doing. I could figure it out, I think, but I wouldn't know what to do. And so kind of one of the things that I want to fill that gap in my knowledge by building my own home network. I'm trying to not allow myself to go crazy like some people I know. But which Dream Machine do you have?
The UDM Pro. So it's I think they make a special edition now
there's a special edition and a Pro Max.
Pro Max sounds like it's new. So the Pro is what I have.
Okay. 8 ports and then a WAN. Is it a WAN? It looks like a WAN port on there.
Yeah, there's 2 dual WAN ports and a single dual WAN and an additional LAN port. Or trying to remember. There are 3 ports over to the side. I think it's dual WAN and an uplink port, the fiber uplink port.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there's like a WAN port and then 2 SFPs next to it.
Yes. So one of those is dedicated as a secondary WAN port, and the other is uplink for LAN.
All right.
It's one thing that I still don't like about that configuration. There was talk at some point that it was going to be software configurable, where you could use the SFPs for whatever you wanted. I haven't seen that manifest itself, and it may be that it requires a hardware revision as well. I haven't kept up that close with it. But like my current setup has...
I see it now.
Has the AT&T modem with a fiber cable over to the secondary WAN uplink because it's the SFP port, so that I get my full 2.5 gig connection to the fiber, and then the internal connectivity I have going over the other SFP module to my switch. No, I take that back. That's how I had it set up until I added the firewall to the mix. When I added the firewall, I changed to RJ45 cables to the firewall as the pass-through to the switch.
I'm sure you have a network diagram somewhere.
I do. I don't remember if I updated it for that though. I'll look and see.
No, I'm looking at their website, and I now understand what's going on here. They have 8 gigabit LAN ports, and then one of those SFP ports is a 10 gig LAN, and then you have the copper WAN and at 1 gigabit, and then an SFP at 10 gigabit for WAN. Okay, so Did you say that? Because like if you did, I didn't understand it.
Yeah, it's just I called it out as the secondary WAN port.
Gotcha.
Because that's how it's used in the software. Even though you can use it for your primary, like what I'm doing currently. Mm-hmm. But it's in at least one revision of the hardware has it labeled secondary WAN.
Do you have a hard drive in the hard drive bay?
Yes.
Is that what you record video to?
Yes.
Okay.
So the previous iteration of my controller setup was to have the cloud key. All right. Well, I've been through two different versions. So I had the original cloud key, which acted as basically a small dongle controller running the Unify Network app. That's all it did. And I had, in addition to that, their NVR, which ran the Unify Video app, which has subsequently been discontinued when they switched everything to the Protect app as being the camera control app. When they announced the second generation cloud key, where you could have the cloud key run the network device and add a hard drive and it run the video stuff all off of the same device, I streamlined mine to take advantage of that. So I basically went from Cloud Key plus NVR to second generation Cloud Key plus. After that, I decided I would get rid of that aspect of it and go with a Dream Machine because it gave me the integrated the switch ports and all too, instead of having just a controller hanging off of a switch, and still maintain full functionality. And there was something else that it gave me. I think it was the IDS IPS throughput, because prior to that I was using the Unify Gateway Pro, which had a much smaller bandwidth throughput, much lower bandwidth throughput if you were using IDS IPS. And so I changed just because of the higher bandwidth more so than anything else, but also because that gave me the single rack mountable device, and just it cleaned up a lot of stuff. And so that's what I've been running since. And I haven't had any problems with it. My only complaint with it has been the lack of ability to run faster WAN connectivity through something without having to default to the SFP plus connection. So like using the copper WAN WAN port would only give me up to 1 gig per second.
Right.
And that's just a limitation of the hardware from the time. It's not, I can't fault it for that, but that's been my only annoyance, because instead of using that port, in order to actually take advantage of the speeds I have to the house, I have to use the SFP plus port and the adapter to connect to the modem. And so if I were to do a backup connection, which I did at the old house, I doubt I would have a reason to do it here so far. But if I were to do a backup connection, the best I could hope for would be just the really bottom tier connectivity at up to 1 gig per second at this point. Whereas if I were going to legitimately do it, like really build it out to handle proper failover and everything else, and have 2 different ISPs come in, it wouldn't be able to handle it probably would not be able to handle the speeds I could potentially get on the lines to come into the house. Whereas in the old house, I could not get above 300 megs per second anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about, I'm not paying for a lot, so this would be just, I'm not paying for like very high speed internet, so this would be just for, overkill for, overkill for cameras.
Right.
And, and then the thought is, well, if I'm gonna run cable for cameras, then I might as well run cable for, wireless access points, and then that would actually solve all of my wireless problems, because the house I'm in it's an open concept, and I think 2 wireless access points would be plenty fine. One downstairs and one upstairs, and I think that would be, I had to be careful not to place them too close together.
Yeah, I actually need to redo the placement of a couple of mine. Well, maybe more than so the issue that I've been having, I think, stems from a couple of things being in too close a proximity. Smart home devices in general can be iffy, but I've had more and more issues with the Hue stuff not triggering appropriately, and it relies on a wireless connection to the bridge before it talks to or uses the different protocols to the lights and everything else. Or technically it's a wired connection to the bridge, but there's some aspects to it with the communication to the lights that can be influenced by overlap from wireless interference and everything else. I've done a lot of reading. I don't completely understand it yet. But what it comes down to, or what it seems to come down to, is the proximity of the bridge to wireless signals is probably causing my problem. But because of the build of the living room, which is where the bridge is located, and where I have just the one network cable feeding a in-wall access point that then splits and goes to a PoE switch and another access point and some other stuff that's all more in closer proximity than I would have actually liked it to be. But it was done so because of how thick those damn walls actually ended up being when I was trying to drill through them.
Mm-hmm.
I need to reevaluate and move some stuff around. I think that's what's causing my occasional issues with automations related to smart lighting and all not necessarily firing appropriately. All of that to say, I don't have a good, clean way to fix it, though, because of the way the house is built. Because in order to truly get a line over and across and into that area, I think would require me going through the ceiling from the inside and trying to fish it all the way across. And there's not an easy way to access the, I'm going to call it attic crawl space on the split level side of the house. So I don't know that I have a good fix for that. I need to sit down and actually try a couple of different things and see if maybe I get lucky and there's a way I can get like an endoscope up and through and over and into the full size attic side, and with enough clearance to pull a cable further through and relocate an access point, or if I just need to completely change where I've got the Hue bridge set up and put it maybe upstairs coming down from the attic with another cable instead of near some of the wireless stuff. I don't know. I need to do a little more reading on what exactly the issues are and whether it's something that I can actually alleviate, or if I need to make some changes on settings on the Wi-Fi itself to try to eliminate any potential interference as a result. So a lot of research.
A lot of moving parts potentially,
and it's stuff that's just not critical. It doesn't.
Yes.
It's not overly annoying for me to just pull up the app and press a button again for it to trigger whatever I needed to trigger. So it's so low priority that it will eventually hit a point where I decide to do something. It just might not happen until I decide to make some other hardware upgrades or changes at the same time.
Well, I've been looking at videos, and I keep thinking about like, oh man, if I was a thing that I think I would have really enjoyed doing was becoming studying to be an electrician. I've had to do some minor electrical work, and it's really, I find it to be a lot of fun. Like tonight, I wired a couple of GFCI outlets. No big deal. Or receptacles, if I'm going to use the proper terminology. And I initially tried to get them wired in, and I did something wrong. And as soon as I turned the circuit breaker on, boom, circuit breaker goes right off. And it's like, uh-oh. So and then I figured out what my mistake was and fixed it, and it didn't take long. But I really enjoyed it. But now the room that I did that in, the overhead light isn't working, and I also figured out what the problem there is. So that was a lot of fun, and I think doing work with low voltage electrical lines, i.e. Network cable. I also find that really interesting, and then also just watching. I enjoy watching people. I've seen some folks online who have done a tour of their network closet, and there's other people out there just as bonkers as you are, and I can appreciate that. And oh man, I really find it satisfying watching people actually do things with cable, proper cable management. So
it's funny. I was looking at my desk as a result of not having to take into account 2 different jobs.
Yeah.
And so I've rearranged a bunch of stuff already. The one thing I don't like is the cable management, and I don't have a good, clean answer for it yet.
Oh, well.
I will eventually figure it out, but that's my one annoyance with the way I've laid everything else out.
We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after-show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.